First of all, I think I'm the only commissioner who was here in 1990, who was on the commission in 1996 when this came to us. Let me explain that what came to us in 1996 were the findings. The actual LCP current LCP was approved in 95, not in 96. Okay, the LCP that's in place right now was approved in 1995. However, I was in the hearing room for that hearing. Okay, and I can tell you there was no discussion about herons at all. And the reason was because there were no herons in the marina at that time. So to say that there aren't changed circumstances simply isn't true. There were no herons known to nest in the marina until after 1999. And if that doesn't constitute changed circumstances, I don't know what does. I would like to say that there's a section in the staff report that I don't know if staff's willing to take this out voluntarily or we'll need some motions to do it. But in there, there's a section in there where you talk about Gull Park and the translocation of black-crowned night herons. I have to tell you that that needs to be removed from the findings because it reiterates things that simply aren't true. That was never a success, and it shouldn't be reported as a success. It's very inaccurate. There were no studies done, and the original counts are inaccurate. The trees with the nests in Long Beach were moved. They counted the nests in those trees, but they didn't count the nests that were already in Gull Park. When they moved the trees, they counted all the nests in Gull Park, not just the ones in the trees that were moved. So that you don't have a way to make any judgments about the statements that were made about it was this great success, at least for the first year or two. Frankly, that's what I asked to go find some of the statistics. There were 62 nests in Gull Park already existing and 241 active nests after the first year. So remove the 62 from the 241. But there were 506 nests in Long Beach before the move. How does that constitute a success? That's less than half of the nests. And then after the first couple of years, it dwindled to essentially none. It's not appropriate for us to put in our findings things that are hearsay and inaccurate, and I'm going to ask that it be removed because what happens when that goes into a set of findings is that, frankly, it then gets repeated by somebody else who says, oh, the commission said that that translocation was successful. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything one way or the other relative to other things, but it's inaccurate and it shouldn't be in there. And I don't know if staff's willing to remove that or if I need a motion to get that done at some point. So you can think about that. Nesting platforms. Frankly, these are totally unacceptable. There's no evidence that they've ever worked to relocate herons. There is not one single peer-reviewed scientific paper on any that involve herons. You don't just say you're going to do it and include it as part of the program, even if you go the sensitive biological resource route, when there's no evidence that they could work. There are platforms that have worked with ospreys and seabirds like cormorants, but I'm not aware of any that have worked relative to relocation of great blue herons. The one that was shown on the screen is where you had those herons in those poles. I checked on that. That's, first of all, to begin with, not a relocation. There's never been any peer-reviewed science on it. That is a restoration enhancement on an island in the middle of a lake in Illinois that has below those poles a full stand of healthy trees. And I might add that all of the comments about that were written in 2002 by the engineering firm that built those poles. No scientific basis to say that they actually worked to any degree in the long run, and that is not even a relocation of nests. So we're comparing apples and oranges, and I have to tell you that using nesting platforms is simply unacceptable. As far as whether or not this is ESHA, frankly, either these herons and their trees are worthy of protection or they're not. Either this is ESHA or it isn't. I'm not aware of any category in the Coastal Act called a sensitive coastal resource. Show me the policy in the Coastal Act. I know policy 30240. I don't, and I pretty well know all of the policies by number, okay? And I don't know of any. Dr. Engel specifies that these stands of trees, and these are not individual trees, are ESHA. And frankly, staff doesn't provide any biological argument that counters that. Only that the decision is difficult, that the area is urbanized, and that the designation of non-native nesting trees would not allow for redevelopment projects. That's not the standard. And by the way, we have non-native trees that have been designated as ESHA in a fairly urbanized area called Boca Chica, and the courts upheld that designation. These are not individual trees. These are stands of trees performing as habitat and serving as persistent nesting and roosting areas. I understand staff's reasoning about the county doesn't have to follow it, but this commission needs to make a statement about what it believes is or is not a fact. So why is this ESHA? Frankly, I thought long about this because the birds are in non-native trees and it's urbanized. These birds have made a remarkable adaptation, and it's amazing that they are existing there. But what really happened, but actually, if you think about it, and that's why I'm so glad I went out to see this area yesterday from a tall vantage point, this area isn't as urbanized as you think. These trees are on the edge of an urbanized area. It's true the marina itself is very urbanized, but that edge is immediately adjacent to hundreds of acres of open space and wetlands. Unfortunately, there are no trees at Bayona, the wetlands, and there's nowhere to go if these heron trees are cut down. Herons are colonial. They need stands of trees tall enough to protect them from ground predators and dense enough in their foliage to protect them from avian predators like crows. If you allow these trees to be cut down, there's nowhere else they can go. And there's no evidence that you can move them, and that's why this rises to the level of ESHA. If this commission cares at all about protecting these birds, this is the only way to protect them. I understand this is not a final designation because this is a periodic review, but it sends a message to the county about the importance of these trees and birds. There are only 2 populations of great blue herons in Los Angeles. The major one is here. There's a smaller one in Malibu, one of whom's been fishing in my koi pond recently. But I ask you not to allow these trees to be cut down. Don't extirpate this population of herons from Los Angeles. Their adaptation is truly remarkable, and they're finally able to have a chance to have a viable population here. They were killed off by hunting and habitat destruction and other means in the last century. Don't take this chance away from them.
Thank you.